Now it's time for Puppets, Pupils, and Producers, a story of mind over matter. Once the family settled into their new life, her mother decided to end hers. Although she heard the commotion and watched her father pulling her mother's lifeless body out of the bathtub, her mind didn't attend the event. Instead, it went to a safe place where once again she'd feel like she was awake and asleep at the same time. Following her suicide attempt, her mother was admitted to the psych unit at the local hospital. It took 6 weeks before she'd convince everyone the pills were working and she wouldn't try to overdose again. During that time, Cassie's paternal grandparents moved in and took care of the house and kids. A retired administrator for Canada Revenue, her grandfather liked watching golf more than playing it and loved a good debate. A veteran as well, he frequently talked about the medals he kept in a special case and made sure his grandchildren appreciated the sacrifices everyone made during the Second World War. Along with being shot in the chest while deployed, he'd survived 2 heart attacks in his 50s. Blaming the first infarction on his stressful job, he retired early and they started spending their winters in Florida. After the second, he gave up cigarettes and fried food, and come rain or shine, he walked 3 miles a day. The only thing he refused to give up was his rye and ginger ale, which he began drinking at precisely 3 o'clock each day, regardless of his location. With each drink, he'd become a little louder, and sometimes the respectful debate during dinner turned into an unrefined argument. Cassie didn't like it when anyone got upset, but more so when it was her grandfather, because he'd start rubbing the pacemaker implanted under his skin, and would need to slip a tablet or 2 of nitroglycerin under his tongue. Her grandmother was an odd woman who spoke in a fading British accent and had obvious short and long-term memory problems. Often seen wearing a string of pearls along with a foam brace around her neck, she insisted her cervical fracture had not healed, despite it being over 10 years since she'd had the causal accident. Always adhering to her standards of proper ladylike behavior, she also remained in her bedroom until she was dressed for the day and had applied her makeup, nail polish, and a wig, which looked exactly like her own hair. Cassie inherited her grandmother's red hair, blue eyes, and fair freckled skin. However, their relativity ended there because she was cold and corrective and rarely spoke to her granddaughter other than to tell her to sit up straight, to cross her legs, or to be seen and not heard. As difficult as it was to please her grandmother and to worry about her grandfather dropping dead, it was a walk in the park compared to watching her father beat her mother, which would resume as soon as her grandparents moved out. But that was on the list of stuff she didn't want to think about, and definitely didn't want to talk about. Robert was an avid student who believed he could learn new concepts and study for his exams by listening to cassette tapes while he slept. Staying abreast of new technologies as well, he saved his money to buy the first personal computer on the day it was released in 1977, and subsequently taught himself how to program it. The only problem he could not solve was his occasional stutter, which usually occurred when he used the telephone. If Cassie was around, he'd ask her to speak for him, which made her feel significant. Unlike their parents, Robert encouraged his sister's success and praised her attempts at learning new skills. He helped her with her homework, taught her how to swim, and introduced her to different genres of music. Spending time with Robert was enjoyable because he represented the positive aspects of her life. Spending time with her brother Stan, however, wasn't enjoyable because along with hitting and kicking her, he threw items, including scissors and other dangerous objects, when he didn't get his way. While many thought he was behaving like a spoiled rotten brat, having a temper tantrum, Cassie knew there was more to it. She also knew better than to tell her mother when her brother hurt her, or to fight back, as it meant one or both of them would get a lashing from their father when he got home from work. Getting the belt was painful, but it didn't hurt as much as having to watch Stan receive twice as many strikes at double the intensity for the same offense. Regardless of the injuries he inflicted, nothing her brother did ever justified the despicable punishment he received from their parents. Trying to prevent her brother's beating, she learned how to manage his outbursts herself. She defended him at school as well. Yet, despite her efforts, he continued to get punished for telling unnecessary and unbelievable lies that, when challenged, led to a fit of rage. Feeling guilty if she didn't protect her brother, and injurious if she didn't correct him, she tried to support him, but it was complicated. Midway through grade 4, the school determined Stan was too disruptive and he was expelled. Then, suggesting he had one of the trendy new attention disorders, he was taken to a doctor who prescribed pills instead of counseling. Once diagnosed, and despite having an average IQ, he was transferred to a school for mentally disabled children. The pills, which he hated taking, stunted his growth, while the transfer insulted his intelligence, hampered his ability to form friendships, and had a devastating effect on his developing identity. Unfortunately, the negative effects didn't end there, because he also had to ride the short bus, so the kids in the neighborhood bullied him more than ever. Additionally, some of his disabled classmates were aggressive, so he was attacked more than ever. And because his disturbed teacher came to school armed with a roll of duct tape, he was abused by messed up adults more than ever before. If this chapter triggered something in you and you'd like help sorting it out, I offer energy therapy sessions, educational guidebooks, and newsletters with additional self-healing content. You can find everything you need at pppenergytherapy.com, and please remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel.